Hey guys, what's up? It's Breezy, and welcome to a new series. This game is called Midnight Witch. This is a different kind of game that I am not necessarily used to. It is a dating simulator game. However, I do believe this is a horror game in some kind of sense. So, yeah, let's dive in. Also, I just want to mention this game is free. What is your name? I'm gonna say my name. It's Breezy. Breezy, that's a lovely name. Thank you. I forgot this means I'm gonna have to do a lot of talking. Hey Breezy, move. My neurons are very slowly kicking in like a rusty machine, getting greased by motor oil. Huh? Whoa. I look up with still sleepy eyes toward the origin of his pleasant morning greetings and his Danny's cocky grin. Wes, his loyal minion, is standing right next to him. Dan, you're really not a morning person, even worse than me. Don't know why I'm doing voices like that. I feel like I've been jolted awake from a particularly heavily sleep. Like every night, I didn't go to bed until I had exhausted all distractions available to a broke student. A well-rounded mix of TV shows, video games, and procrastination on social media. Sounds like my everyday life. And like every morning, I promise myself to go to bed as soon as I get home. Suddenly, I feel a hand on my shoulder that abruptly pulls me out of my daydreaming. Man, you're really out of it today. No, I just what exactly? Unable to finish my sentence, I gently massage my aching temples. You were with Emma, right? It's been what, 6 years? What? No, it's only been like, 2. 2 years? Now that's a long relationship. Come on, you must have hit 2 years of cumulative relationships long ago, but with more than 10 girls. Hey, I'm just looking for the perfect girl. I answer with a particularly loud yawn. Oh, yeah, if you say so, but what the hell are you doing at school this early? I'm a new man, bro. Time for a quick smoke and then I'm getting be sitting in front row. Wes bursts out laughing, revealing perfectly aligned little pointy teeth. What about you? You decided to rebuild your life too? Wes' smile suddenly fades and his face turns pale. Well, he's not really a model of self-confidence. Did you not hear? We have a new professor this morning. His sentence hangs in the air. So, what? You don't get it, Breezy? The new professor, I hear she's absolutely... Breezy! A familiar voice, soft and... Oh, it's a soft voice. Reaches my ears. Emma stands right behind us, looking puzzled. Guys? Why are you blocking the entrance? Dan slaps me on the back, nearing knocking the wind out of me. Look, here's your sweetheart. I jostle Dan slightly to get closer to Emma and put a shy arm around her shoulders. Hey, Emma, you okay? Emma smiles at me and places a light kiss on my lips, which has a way of triggering a small wave of heat that radiates down my belly. I'm not really the romantic type, but this girl has brought out feelings in me that were previously totally unknown to me. Dan was telling me about the new professor we're having this morning, apparently. Emma looks at me with a surprised expression. I love that. Oh, right, you heard it too? I remain slightly puzzled. Is this such big news? A new professor? Ha! A normal answer at last. Look, kids, it's time to go take a smoke outside and talk about a topic of the utmost importance. He turns abruptly to Wes. Wes, go get seats at the back for us. I want to sleep peacefully as soon as the new professor starts spouting off her lecture. With a shifty look on his face, Wes nods and quickly leaves for the auditorium. With my arm still around Emma, I follow Dan to the park without much enthusiasm. What is it with everyone, this new professor? Is it someone famous? I don't know. I feel like I gotta move this screen. Oh, I missed something. Hold on. Give me a second. This was like not aligned properly. How do I go back? Okay, well, I guess I'm saving. My goofy smile fades as I become aware of Dan's condescending look. I didn't know you were a hopeless romantic, Breezy. Yeah, I get it. You're not familiar with this very concept. I'm looking for the right person, too. I mean, if Jessica decided one day to... Female student. Who knows? After all, I would just need a stroke to fall into your arms. I turned my head to the newcomer, Jessica, the most popular girl of the class. I'm glad I picked that voice. The sunlight slides over her incredibly long red hair. Many heads turn while she walks around the campus. I don't think she has many female friends. I feel Emma's fingers tighten on my arm and notice a slightly uneasy look on her face. She and Jessica don't really get along very well, to say the least. Jessica, I was just waiting for you to come and brighten up this dreary morning. Don't even dream about it, Dan. Dan bursts out laughing, the two of them actually getting along pretty well. I don't think there's any hint of romance between them, but who knows? Anyways, what about this new professor? What's so interesting about her? Yeah, I just feel she's all anyone's talking about. Is this really a big thing? A new professor? Just what I'm thinking. Finally. Emily speaks up in an unusually excited voice. I heard she's graduated top of her class last year. She was so good that the university agreed to hire her as an assistant professor, even though she's barely older than us. Jessica glares at Emma with a contemptuous look. She's probably your spirit animal, right, Miss Perfect? Emma cowers in on herself as she's been slapped. I have to step in. Hey, Jessica, I know your grass-based diet must be such a pain on a daily basis, but you don't need to lash out on others. Jessica strides toward me in a way that's both graceful and intimidating. Her haughty air and amber eyes seem capable of setting the surrounding air ablaze at any moment. I may have gone a bit too far. We're all happy to know that your underwear sits right next to Miss Perfect's bed 3 times a week, but you really need to get your feet back on the ground. Sorry, m'lady. This girl is scary. I wonder who would be crazy enough to chase after her. Don't know. I really don't. Chill, Jess. You know Breezy's the white knight type, just defending his damsel in distress. There are damsels in distress that would be better off thrown to dragon. An unusual silence sits in. I don't understand the animosity. I don't understand the animosity between Jessica and Emma. Fortunately, Dan often manages to diffuse attention. He got a real gift for that. His hand brushes Jessica's shoulder, and she immediately turns her animosity to this new threat. Jessica, you just don't understand. This new professor, apparently, she's absolutely gorgeous. Jessica raised a haughty eyebrow. What? She wears a miniskirt and plunging cleavage, and that's enough to tickle your Y chromosome? What a great reference. Ugh. My poor Dan, I thought you were not that stupid. Dan shakes his head, a condescending smile on his lips. You don't understand. I've never gotten so much diathyrambic feedback on a girl. I hope I said that right. It's like she's everyone's first choice. Diathyrambic. Don't use big words you don't understand. Is it to impress the infamous professor? Jessica rolls her eyes with a sigh. Dan, you're really a complete idiot. Jessica gives Emma one last contemptuous look, then heads toward the main building. Breezy, I think it's time to go. Emma takes my hand and heads towards the building as well. I follow her with my feet dragging. This class is way too early in the morning. Here we go. So far, interesting characters. I have a feeling this professor is about to be crazy. I walk into the half-empty auditorium with Emma still holding my hand. Looks like not everyone is planning to attend the morning lecture. Let's sit over here. As usual, Emma sits at the top of the middle rows at a very reasonable distance from the board. How long does this class last again? 3 hours, I think. I stare at her unblinkably for far too long to hide my dismay. Over the whole week? A small crystal chiming laugh escaped Emma's thin lips as she quickly... Oh my god. This is why I was not made for these kind of games. A small crystal chiming laugh escapes Emma's thin lips as she quickly kisses me. Stop being so silly. Social studies is one of my favorite subjects. Yeah, me too. One of my favorites to skip. Emma grabs my arm with a particularly adorably expression. I'm having a stroke. Emma grabs my arm with a particularly adorable expression. Breezy, I love you. I love you too, Emma. You know that already. Yeah, but I love when you say it. A duel of identical voices rises behind me. Emma! Emma! Chloe? Zoe? The twins. I quickly step aside to let their double-haired tornado pass by me and rush to Emma. You'll never guess who we saw making out on the way here. I still can't believe it. What? No way. Yes. Yes! With an exasperating sigh, I turn and take out my laptop. I scan across the classroom that is slowly filling up around me. Some people clearly decided to stay in their bed this morning, but from the looks of it, there are still a good 30 or so students. Where are these students? Who bothered to show up? Not bad for a morning class. I glance at Emma, who's still absorbed in an intense exchange of gossip with the twins. Out of the corner of my eyes, I see Dan staring at me from the back row. The new professor must really be special for him to show up this early in the morning. An amber glint catches my eye. It's only Jessica, who sat a little behind me in the back row. At a very reasonable distance from Dan, though. Wes is giving her sideways glances. Is that why he's always with Dan, in the hope of getting closer to Jessica? My face naturally breaks into a smile as I open my latest notes on my laptop. The social sciences file contains about 10 particularly short sentences and a few words highlighted in bold. Yep, that's it. Let's say that I'm desperately relying on Emma's notes. When are the midterms again? A slight nudge pulls me out of my thoughts. Breezy, look. She's not the only one who looks stunned. It seems like the whole class is hypnotized by what exactly? My eyes swerve toward the front of the class. Ah, I see. The newcomer is sitting on the lecture desk in the most natural way. All eyes linger on her fine, even features, her bewitching smile, her jet black hair cascading down her shoulders, let alone her eyes. Eyes at once dark, sparkling, intimidating, an impossible night blue gleam dances in her gaze. The regular professor, loud voice, rises sharply, but only partially breaks the spell that is mesmerizing the whole class. Prof. Listen, this is Miss... Please call me Evelyn. The playful tone emphasizes the bubbly and perfectly controlled side of her voice. Evelyn is my new assistant and she'll be teaching most of my classes next semester. I'm counting on you to stay serious and focused. A few whispers rise from the back rows. That's the dream job. You hire some assistant and you don't do shit. How do you even become a professor? Please, quiet in the back. Good. I count on you two to welcome Evelyn and show her full extent of your capabilities. For those who have any. The professor punctuates his last remark with a glance in the direction of Dan, who grins with all of his teeth. I wish you all a good day and good luck to you, Evelyn. Why did that scare me? The sound of the door slamming shut tells me that the professor has left the room. It's only Evelyn and us now. Hello, everyone. Good morning, madam. Hey. A collective murmur rises from the rows of the room in greeting to the new arrival. Like I said, you can call me Evelyn, but please don't call me madam. I'm barely older than you. A light laugh escapes her lips and echoes off the large walls of the auditorium. I graduated last year, so I was a student like you until very recently. I hope we can bond to learn better together. I'm still very new to the job, so I'm counting on your goodwill. The muffled echo of the male voices erupts from the four corners of the auditorium. Of course, you can count on us, Professor Evelyn. If you need help, let me know. All these guys are dogs. Her amused eyes roam the auditorium and scrupulously probes each row. The room looks a little empty to me, but I think all important people are here. What? Is this a subtle way of saying she's going to take attendance? For a morning lecture, that would be unheard of. Guys. Oh my gosh. I'm loving this. Evelyn comes down from the lecture desk with a small, light hop. Well, I think it's time for us to start the class. And just to start off on the right foot, by the way, what class am I supposed to teach you? Even Emma is left speechless. No one expected her to say that. Evelyn seems to revel in everyone's surprise. This is social studies class? A large smile appears on Evelyn's face. Social studies, wonderful. That's my favorite class. Just like Emma, the new professor gaze finally swivels to me. You, handsome, what's your name? Why do questions always come to me regardless of the professor? I am Breezy, madam. Evelyn? Breezy, could you please tell me where you were in this course? I didn't show up for half the classes. There are many things I don't know in this universe. The meaning of life, the origin of black holes, our progress in the course, and simply part of this great unfathomable whole. Might as well go all in. I wish I could answer you, but you know, I haven't shown up to classes for... Oof! Emma graced me with a surprisingly powerful blow to the sternum that makes my breath away. I give Emma a surprised look. What was she expecting? That I would be up to date with the course? I swivel towards Evelyn. Well, Breezy, I'm lucky you decided to show up today. I'm sure you won't regret getting up this morning. Huh? Who could help Breezy remember where you were? We're on comprehensive sociology. Evelyn quickly claps her hands together, looking visibly excited. The analysis of the social world. Fantastic. Social relationships, right? Domination, power, differentiation. I nod without understanding a word she just said. I really need to start studying for real, or else Emma's gonna yell at me again. Her cold look confirms my fears. What is that? She looks quite upset. Sorry, thanks Emma for helping me. Perfect, let's start class. I'm counting on all of you to behave. We're giving her the seductive mommy vibes, because I think she's about to lure everybody to their death. Emma was right. Evelyn is quite brilliant. Despite her visible lack of preparation for this specific class, she's been talking about comprehensive sociology for 5 minutes, with particular insight and sense of expertise. Given my insane lack of knowledge in social sciences, I am unable to say if what she says is actually relevant. But she definitely sounds very convincing. Wait, isn't that Dr. Fox effect? Seems like I've actually learned a thing or two about sociology over the years. I took at the other students, most of them behave exactly like usual. At least the ones I know. Emma takes perfectly organized notes on her little pink laptop. Zoe is having a quick manicure, her little nail polish jar unsteadily resting on her right knee. And Chloe tries by all means to catch the eye of a guy sitting a few rows down, without much success. As for Jessica, she's staring at her laptop screen far too intensely to be actually paying attention to the class. And what about me? No point in lying, I haven't taken a single note. A nudge on the elbow pulls me out of my daydream. I was listening, I swear. Emma looks at me warily, then finally smiles. Very funny, but take notes. Class started 5 minutes ago. With a sigh, I place my hands on the keyboard and start writing a few keywords from Emma's notes. Hey, do you guys have internet? Emma and I turn to a student sitting a bit further to my left. I haven't tried yet. Why? I can't connect to the Wi-Fi. New whispers behind me this time. Female student. Wi-Fi is down. They must have changed the password last night. Only the school intranet works. The university intranet. Great. Aside from fascinating articles about the discovery of electricity in the biography of the college's dean, this thing is as empty as my fridge on a weeknight. Hey, log on to the internet chat. Everybody's trolling. I mean, with social networks and mobile phones, this kind of thing is literally useless. But now since we don't have the actual internet anymore, I find the address in a few clicks and manage to log into the chat room. The messages are flooding. I open the small tab listening to people logged in. There's almost 30 people. Seriously, nobody can crack the new Wi-Fi password? Sucks so much. When did they even change it? It was working just fine yesterday. I got no signal on my phone. Yeah, I don't have any signal either. Nobody can get any signal in this auditorium. It's always been like this. But why? The auditorium was built with new materials that are more insulating, but that also is preventing any mobile signal. GTFO! Shut up, he's saying something interesting. So we'll never get any signal in this room? Who's Wes Wizard? I'm going through an impressive number of insulting messages in pure flood. It's insane how an online chat can become a garbage can in no time. We will eventually think the deep indoor technology that allows signals to pass through very thick walls, but it's expensive for mobile network operators to install. How do you know all this? It's Wes, Dan's friend. Oh, makes sense. His mom works for a telecom operator, so he knows a lot about this stuff. STFU! With the chat being anonymous, it's just so easy to troll. Welcome to the absurdity. Okay, I'm just gonna stop for 1 second, because I know you guys are like, wow, this is getting great. We're learning a lot, all the voices. I'm going to butcher a lot of words in this game. Maybe there'll be a montage at some point of it. But in the moment, I need you just to pretend it didn't happen. Welcome to the absurdity of online chatting. I glance over at Emma, who's still focused on her notes that now fill the entire page. Has Evelyn talked that much already? I feel Emma's incensed look on my face. She hates it when I slack off, and I look up at Evelyn again. I find this almost magical bluish glow dancing in her dark eyes. I stiffen slightly as Emma's hand shakes at my shoulder. Take notes, hurry up! I stiffly yawn and look down at the clock. Morning break won't happen anytime soon. Yeah, this was like, what, a 3-hour class? That is ridiculous. That was a long time. We are done with this chapter. I hope it wasn't too boring. An unusual rising tide of voices spread throughout the rows. That was perfect, Evelyn! Keep talking, please! Could you please repeat the last part? Thank you all. You are all so kind. But I've talked too much. Now it's question time. What do you mean questions? Wait, I didn't pay attention. Who can tell me what the Barnum effect is? A few hands go up, including Emma's and Dan's. You, next to Breezy. Emma straightens up slightly in her chair. It's the principle of use for personality tests or horoscopes. People are flattered by a speech that valorizes them, which leads to them finding inaccurate comments about their own personality relevant. Evelyn quickly claps both hands. Excellent, that's exactly right. What's your name? Emma hesitates for a moment, was surprised by the teacher's unusually familiarity with her students. Emma? That's perfect, Emma. Read any personality test, you'll always find a subtle mix of flattery and statements generic enough to fit the majority. Once convinced that the test results represent who you are, you become more likely to accept a completely false statements about your own personality. This is the power of the Barnum effect. Evelyn, you are the best professor in the world. Evelyn burst into a crystalline laugh. I don't know what that would be. Sorry, but flattery needs a little bit of subtlety. Otherwise, it doesn't work. I don't think that was I think it was more like a... Let's see. Who can tell me about the bystander effect? It's a classic that you have already faced in real life. Hands go up again. No. It's always the same people answering. I'll pick someone this time. She moves slowly across the stage in search of her prey, one hand brushing the desk as she continues to walk. You, over there, what's your name? Lucas, ma'am, Evelyn. The guy named Lucas, I probably talked to him twice in my life, is casually sitting in an obvious attempt to appear cool and relaxed. So, Lucas, do you know what the bystander effect is? Lucas' smile widens. It's when you're a bystander to a significant event that you're able to replicate afterwards with accuracy. For example, I was able to date very talented girls. As a result, now I can pull off some amazing tricks. He concludes his answer with a wink. That's crazy. He concludes his answer with a wink that he probably believes to be the most charming in the world. It was dorky, vulgar, and probably off topic. What a douche. You bet he'll be lucky if he just gets kicked out of the class. To my surprise, Evelyn continues to smile in a perfectly natural way. It doesn't surprise me. After all, you look like you belong to the gifted type. It's up to you to find out. Evelyn's smile widens. Oh, but I already know better than anyone. Huh? Unfortunately, that wasn't the right answer. A blinding flash of light fills the entire room for a split second, immediately followed by a dull crack. My eyes instinctively close at the sudden light assault. The classroom is now dead silent. When I finally manage to open my eyes for good, I find myself facing a vision of horror. Evelyn is elegantly seated on the table right in front of Lucas, smiling, terrifying. In front of her, Lucas stares dazed at the long blue spear that crosses his chest. There's blood absolutely everywhere. The eyes widen. Lucas tries to articulate some words, but only a bubble of blood springs from his lips and splashes a little more his completely solid, soiled clothes. The blue spear seems to glow with a supernatural and devious gleam, as if it animated by a will of its own. Evelyn keeps her eyes riveted on Lucas's face, whose life is rapidly slipping away. It feels like time stays frozen for an eternity. My brain, unable to process the images I'm witnessing, can no longer reason rationality. Shit. Lucas covered in blood. Evelyn, the magic spear. I'm dreaming. A nightmare. That's impossible. I barely managed to hear the scream that tears through the surrounding silence. Help! Run! The paralysis that had gripped the entire room disappears all at once, as if by magic. A very large panic begins, with half of the students taking cover under the tables, while the other half rushes to the door. The door located at the other end of the room from my seat. Fuck! Emma turns to me, her face livid. Without thinking, I pull her against me and tip backwards so that our bodies are under the table. The protection is purely symbolic, but what more can I do? While my brain is screaming at me to think of a way to get to the door, my gaze goes back to Evelyn. Still smiling, she gently caresses the handle of the spear without seeming in the least disturbed by the agitation surrounding her. Her medallion glows with the pulsing of the magic spear, which seems to be absorbing the life of her unfortunate victim. It seems that Lucas is living his last moments. His face becomes more and more livid with each passing second, and his eyes take on a gray color specific to dead corpses. A frightful nausea invades me. I pull Emma a little tighter against me and force her head to turn towards my chest in a futile attempt to spare her from this this vision. In spite of the ambient rush, a new shrill scream followed by a pestilent. Who is putting these big words in this game? Who? Pestilential odor invades the room that silences all the other noises. As I try to find a proper vision angle without exposing myself unnecessarily, I manage to see a flaming mass collapsing on the floor just in front of the door. Don't tell me another student. No! The door's trapped. The students amazed near to the door are all caught up in the primal act. A tremendous stampede ensues, the crowd divided by the desire to get as far away as possible from the two corpses, that of Lucas and another unfortunate soul who has been burned alive. Oh. Evelyn's bubbly voice rises from the center stage as if she's had teleported from the back rows where Lucas' corpse still lies. No, class is not over. At these words, all the students froze and a new icy silence invades the room. Evelyn's sharp smile lights up her face, which strangely no longer bears any traces of Lucas's blood. If you don't hurry back to your seats, I will have to punish you too. After a few interminable seconds, the message finally sinks in. Clear as blood. Punishment, death. New panic sets in. Most of the students rush to the relatively safety of the tables, while a handful remain motionless near the door, totally paralyzed by fear. Evelyn gazes at these death row inmates with a delighted expression. Oh, bad students. One of the three students still standing faints, her face maddened. The second lays eyes on the totally charred corpse and bends over to vomit profusely. The third, his limbs shaking all over, seemed to have completely lost control of his own body. Evelyn slowly approaches the door, her eyes riveted on the two girls on the ground. Poor thing, she's fainted. What kind of teacher would I be if I punished a student with anemia? Her light heart laughter in this total contrast to the seriousness of the situation. As for her, Evelyn takes a small step to the side to avoid the puddle of vomit. I'm sorry, but eating in class is forbidden. That's how you mess up the room. With a nonchalant gesture, she extends two fingers in the direction of the unfortunate girl still on her knees and agitated by sporadic retching. Bam! New flash of light, blue this time. The student collapses totally on her vomit in a big spray of blood. Oh my, look how dirty she is. I hate dirty people. Evelyn. The last student still standing tries to move away, but his legs seem to no longer obey the movements, intimidated by his hips. He just manages to lean against the wall to avoid falling. Evelyn raises her eyes full of malice in his direction. Why aren't you sitting in your seat? The class has started already, right? The unfortunate guy opens his mouth like a fish out of water and painfully manages to squeeze a few words. I is not a valid answer. Sorry. Evelyn gives him a ravaging little wink, then quickly waves her left hand in his direction. Crack! New flash of light followed by a dull cracking sound. A long blue spear, identical to the one that pierced Lucas, goes through the student's chest and literally pins him against the wall. Contrary to Lucas, death must have been just instantaneous. The student doesn't emit any rattle and his inert head falls to one side in a frightening angle. Looking satisfied, Evelyn quickly contemplates her work, then returns to the desk while clapping her hands. Well, I guess now we can resume the class. She runs her delicate hand through her long hair. I think I was just asking you some questions. All right, just a few more questions and we'll start a new chapter. Let's see. Evelyn sweeps the room with her eyes. All the students have taken shelter under the tables, just like Emma and me. A perfectly useless shelter, inasmuch as an underside of the table is visible from the board. It's gonna be difficult for you to take notes crouching like that on the floor. Despite her enchanting smile and evil glint gleaming in her eyes as she opens her mouth again. If you don't take notes, I'll have to consider you absent. The signal is clear. Obey or die. The students slowly stand up and reluctantly sit back in their seats in dead silence. Ooh. Despite my heart beating way too fast, I take the risk of standing up as well. Emma's still in my arms. My will is close to breaking when Emma raises her big doe eyes to me filled with tears. Emma, trust me. My voice is only a whisper, but she nods and lets my arms guide her. I sit her back down in the seat right next to mine and then sit down as well. Her morbidly livid face doesn't let me forget the nausea rumbling deep in my gut. This was a nightmare. A pure nightmare. I slowly turn my head towards Evelyn, praying not to meet her eyes. With a big smile on her face, she's making sure that everyone is seated properly. A particularly sickening smell of burning flesh finally reaches my nostrils. I glance back at the carcass lying on the floor near the door. Just imagining that is the corpse of another human being makes me want to regurgitate the contents of my stomach. No way. Magic doesn't exist. There's no such thing as a teacher's killing students in classrooms. Not in my life. Not in my very average, very basic student life. Don't ask. That's impossible. Emma's small hand squeezes mine. Despite her shaking, the touch of her soft skin manages to calm my emotions slightly, enough to bring me back to my senses. I need to be rational, control my emotions, survive. We must survive. Evelyn can kill us in the blink of an eye. She's using magic or a superpowered weapon from the future or whatever. It doesn't matter. The facts are simple. We are totally powerless against it. So we have to trick it to understand her motives, the rules that underlie her morbid game. Turn them against her, like in a video game. I close my eyes to try and concentrate more without success. Don't be an idiot. This is not a video game. There are no rules, no solutions, no escape. I open my eyes and meet Evelyn's gaze. My blood runs through my veins. Did she just wink at me? Her attention immediately shifts to the other side of the room, but the uneasy feeling persists. Am I next? My swallowing becomes very difficult, as if my throat has become totally knotted. I'm going to die, like Lucas, like the others. We're all going to die. We're gonna die! My eyes freeze on the door to the room, the only way we can escape, the only way to survive. A door, trapped. A door that condemns the one who puts his hand on it to be died by the fire. My breath is getting shorter and shorter as I curl up slightly in my seat. We can't get out anymore. Trapped. Condemned. Is everyone seated? Good. Let's get back to the questions. I better pay attention. Oh. I have a feeling you're not in a very talkative mood, so I guess I'll have to pick somebody again. Evelyn slowly ascends to the central staircase, her hand gently brushing the surface of the table as she moves. The student closest to her passage cower in vain, hoping to become invisible, all while avoiding moving too much so as to not... The students closest to her passage cower in vain, hoping to become invisible. The students closest to her passage cower in vain, hoping to become invisible, all the while avoiding moving too much so not to attract the attention of our tormentor. As Evelyn passes by her row, Emma leans slightly towards me, to get as far away from her as possible, a look of terror on her face. I force my gaze to stay focused in front of me, despite the fear of being hit by a magical projectile from the stairs to my right. A barely audible sigh of relief escapes my lips as I hear Evelyn's footsteps move away from us. She stops a few rows, both her hands patting the table in the unlucky row with an impatient look. "Tell me, what's your name?" Slowly and carefully, I turn my head to catch a glimpse of the unfortunate victim out of the corner of my eye, sitting just a row away from Dan. That guy, it's Matt, Zoe's ex. His usual self-confidence seemed to have completely disappeared. Head straight up, empty eyes, he is unable to meet the glance of Evelyn, nor even to answer the question asked. Matt lets out a slight cry when Evelyn starts to move, convinced of his imminent death. To my surprise, she simply sits down in the seat next to him and leans her face towards him. Matt keeps his head turned towards the wall as if paralyzed by fear. I can't help but feel a certain cowardly relief. Matt is next on the list, not me. Poor guy. But it's not me. I guess it's not me. "You won't tell me your name? That's too bad." Matt's voice is barely audible. Matt. Evelyn smiles delightedly. "Well, Matt, thanks for being a volunteer." Matt swallows. As if he was a volunteer, she picked him himself. "A little micro-sociology question regarding the family." Evelyn's smile, which initially seemed warm to me, now appears purely cruel. My heavens. "When a couple is expecting a child, who should make the decisions?" Matt manages to omit an answer, which is already a great feat considering the perilous situation he finds himself in. "The mother." Evelyn raises an eyebrow. "Only the mother? That's interesting." The entire class holds its breath. "But does that mean the father has no say in it? Ever?" Face dripping with sweat, Matt answers in a surprisingly firm voice. "Both. It's both." "Ah, both. That's very interesting." Evelyn's smile grows more and more crooked. "But you can't change your answer afterwards. It's like cheating." Matt abruptly turns to Evelyn, perpetual panic in his eyes. "Wait, Splash! A short dagger adorned with cabalistic engravings springs from Evelyn's outstretched hand and comes crashing down Matt's throat with a particularly sickening sound. The latter hopelessly brings his hands to his throat, blood spurting out everywhere. He ends up collapsing against the table in a frightful rattle. Evelyn contemplates her macrobee work with a satisfied air, her medallion sparkling of a blue supernatural glare. Ah! No! A few howls echoes through the room. I squeeze Emma's hands tightly, hopefully that she'll manage to suppress any sound. The last thing we need right now is to attract Evelyn's attention. "I think we can stop the question part for now." Her perky look is perfectly surreal considering the murder she just committed in cold blood. "This woman is evil. A witch. She's a witch. Powerful, cruel. I hope you'll listen more carefully from now on. Otherwise, you'll keep giving me the wrong answers." Evelyn quickly walks down the stairs toward the board and turns back to the class. "I expect you all to take notes seriously." I can't believe it. Is she going to resume the class like nothing happened? "Now, let's talk about microsociology." Without the slightest regard to various corpses littering the room, Evelyn begins to recite a sociology lecture before the simultaneously frightened and bewildered eyes of the still living students. "I feel like you are all completely asleep this morning. Come on, take notes." All the students are now aware that each of her recommendations carry with it a threat of imminent death. As a result, I hear a number of hands timidly tapping on the keyboards, beginning with Emma's, on whose face I read deep with terror. With a pleading look, she tells me to imitate her to avoid the witch's wrath, the witch who killed Lucas, and Matt, and the one who probably is going to kill us all by the end of the day. With trembling hands, I barely manage to unlock my laptop. The chat window appears before me, flooded with new messages. She uses magic! This is a nightmare. I'm having a nightmare. I just want to wake up. I'm in a nightmare. We're all in a nightmare. There's no such thing as magic. That's impossible. She's a witch. She can kill us all with one look. I still can't get a signal. Someone called 911. We still don't have internet. It's because of her. It's her magic. We're all gonna die. We're all gonna die. She killed Matt. I'm about to throw up, but she'll kill me if she hears me. We can kill her if we all go together. Who's with me? We're all gonna die, idiot. She's using magic. We can't do anything. I don't want to die, please. Save me. Please, please. Focus. There's gotta be a way out of this. Yeah, let's go and kill her. She won't have the time to get us all. I don't want to die. You try that on your own. I'm sitting next to Lucas. The smell is unbearable. Please, help me. Save me, save me. My parents are rich. Please save me. Okay, he can die. We're all in this together, you moron. Calm down. We'll come up with a plan. We need to exchange the answers to questions on this chat so we don't die. We're all gonna die anyways. Everybody sit still or you die. You just have to sit there and pretend to take notes. It's a divine punishment. I just don't understand. Why are we pretending to take notes when we can just take notes and survive? You know what I mean? Why don't we just listen and survive? It's all because you are sinners. Shut up. It's all your fault. You're a sinner too, so shut up. We are spooked. A divine punishment. Maybe that's what it is after all. Loud vomit echoes around the room. The girl sitting next to Lucas' corpse is finally cracked. I take a quick look at Evelyn. She continues her lecture without caring about the sickening noise. And all of these concepts bring us back to the decision, making a process that you should already be familiar with. Were you the one who was afraid you'd die if you threw up? She spared you. Maybe she kills randomly? She's a witch. She would kill anyone. I don't know. I mean, you know that Lucas was my friend. He was a huge asshole who abused girls. That's pure bullshit. The story, it was true. He's a sinner. Repent or you all die. So in the chat on the computer, I did read some like pretty, it's kind of like triggering things, kind of like social issue things. So I'm not going to say too much. But essentially, Matt and Lucas both did things that related to the questions they were asked in their actual life. So Lucas, it was rumored that he had done bad things to girls. And then Matt, it was that he was in a relationship and there was a pregnancy involved, etc., etc. Fill in between the lines. But essentially, I think the witch is picking people who have a sin. And so, I mean, for both of them, I guess I'm fine with that they're dead. Matt forced a girl he slept with to have an abortion. This reminds me of something. The memory of the exchange between Matt and Evelyn just before his death suddenly flashes back to me. When a couple is expecting a child, who should make the decisions? Evelyn, she asked that question, a very specific question for Matt. Does that mean she knew? In a brief moment of lucidity, I try to gather my thoughts. Evelyn is a demon, a witch, a psychopath. She can kill us all with the snap of her fingers, and yet she follows a very specific plan. She gives us orders, terrifies us, asks us questions. A small voice in my head starts to grow louder. What if she didn't kill randomly? I mentally run down the casualty list. Lucas seems like he was abusing girls. My people even say he deserved what he got. He's someone punishable. Matt, he forced a girl to have an abortion. Another behavior Evelyn wouldn't want to punish, as she might consider that he was gaslighting the girl to get what he wanted, regardless of the girl's well-being. Yet he answered that the mother should be the one to make the decisions. Did he suspect that Evelyn knew? Did he sense that very question was directly aimed at him regarding this very specific event? Evelyn didn't seem to expect any particular answer. Actually, I don't know if there's really a good answer to such a vague question. But then, was it a trick question? Was it a question designed to psychologically torture him before killing him for good, to punish him for his behavior? Let's start again. Lucas and Matt may have been punished for their behavior towards the girls. But what about the other deaths? The one who died by fire while trying to open the door. The girl who was killed while vomiting on the floor, unable to move. The one who was left paralyzed, standing by the door. No. Class is not over. I'm sorry, but eating is not allowed in class. That's how you mess up the room. It's not a valid excuse. Sorry. Did they die because they didn't follow the rules imposed by Evelyn? But what would those rules be? I don't know. Sit at your desk and do your work. If you don't go back to your seats, I'll have to punish you too. Is everyone seated? Good. Let's get back to the questions. I expected you to take notes seriously. Would it be enough to be a good, obedient student to survive? Lucas and Matt died after being questioned directly. In other words, they probably had no hope of survival. Evelyn wanted them dead. As for the others, they were not interrogated. They died because they didn't obey the rules. They were not seated, they did not follow the class, they just tried to leave the room in the middle of class. I shake my head to try and give myself some hope. I'm sure the theory holds up. Once Evelyn is done punishing all of the students guilty of punishable behaviors, she will spare the others. The ones who can follow the rules until the end of class. I need to share this with the others so that there's no more casualties. I'm about to write on the chat when Evelyn lets out a loud exclamation. Oh, I almost forgot a little question. I instantly freeze as if paralyzed by an unearthly cold embrace. Emma turns to me, looking even more terrified than before. I squeeze her hand with my strength and utter a few words under my breath. You're safe. She should be in no danger. She's taking notes, she's listening to the lecture, she's a very good student. She's a girl. Evelyn seems to only punish guys guilty of terrible behavior towards girls. I pray that my theory is correct. I think I should be alright. I'm a normal guy. And yet, why am I shaking like a leaf? You, there. What's your name? Breathless, I look up with devastated eyes at Evelyn, who is staring at someone across the room. Me? Dead silence. All the students turn to the unfortunate girl. I recognize her. It's Lucy. Evelyn simply nods with a broad smile, arms leaning against her desk near the board. The brief relief of knowing I'm safe is immediately replaced by a frustration at the inconsistency of the choice of the new victim. Why is she singling out a girl? Unless she's not planning to kill her. Maybe Evelyn just wants to psychologically torture us into thinking she's going to kill everyone. Maybe she'll spare this girl and kill the next student. She asks a question too. The next one. That could be me. Claire. My name is Claire? I frown. What is she doing? Her name is Lucy. If Evelyn finds out she's lying to her... What was that? Claire. That's a pretty name. Lucy's face is almost morbidly pale, but she manages to hold Evelyn's gaze without blinking. I've always thought that name we're given at birth is the starting point of a great injustice, since we don't choose it ourselves. What do you think, Claire? She knows. She knows that Lucy lied to her. She knows everything. Lucy's doomed. Yes, you are right. I'm always right. No need to mention it. Evelyn's smile widens and she bursts out laughing. I'm kidding. Of course nobody's perfect. Lucy's face breaks down as Evelyn walks up the stairs towards the row where her new victim is sitting. The psychological torture is unbearable, including for us bystanders. Does Evelyn plan to kill her, or does she just want to terrorize her? So, Claire, a question for you about responsibility. I resign myself to the obvious. Lucy is going to die. Is the person who distributes illegal content on the internet guilty, even if he or she did not participate in the making of the content themselves? Lucy burst into tears in response to the oddly specific question. Please, I didn't know. I thought they were always consenting, I swear. Evelyn stares condescendingly at Lucy, half leaning over her. That unearthly glow of her medallion gleams at the tear-streaked face of the helpless victim. Please spare me. I'm so sorry. Please, please. Evelyn's gaze grows a little softer. Lucy, I'm sorry to see you so desperate. Lucy raises her pleading eyes. But your answer is off topic. With a simple gesture, Evelyn causes a small bluish mist to appear and ripple around Lucy's body. The latter begins to tremble so violently that her seat hammers. The metal railing that serves as its support is a sonorous clacking. Clack, 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 clack. The shaking stops after a few seconds, and with a dull thud, Lucy's head falls against the table, her face turned in my direction. A fresh wave of nausea seizes me. Blood has abundantly spurted from her eyes and mouth during her agony. With a snap of her fingers, Evelyn clears the magical mist and walks back down to the podium and a mysterious smile on her face. Remember, responsibility is one of the must-have sociological studies in the program. Once back by her desk, Evelyn continues the class as if nothing had happened. Nothing in her appearance betrays the murder that she had just perpetrated. Not her immaculate clothes, not her impeccably coiffed hair, not her medallion which has returned to its usual hue. Don't forget to take notes. This is important. I hear the sound of someone puking from across the room, but no screams. Most of the students go back to tapping away fervently at their keyboards, looking terrified. Evelyn also targets girls. No one is safe. Emma, I love you. I whisper these words without taking my eyes off my screen, terrified of attracting Evelyn's attention. Emma simply squeezes my hand with unusual strength. Out of the corner of my eye, I see a few tears falling on her keyboard as she continues to take notes. I have to figure out the rules of this sadistic, perverted game. I have to save Emma. I'm not condoning the murder, but it also doesn't seem like it's not 100% like not needed. You know what I mean? I close my eyes and try to recall the details of the scene despite the gaggling in my stomach. Evelyn asked a very specific question again, and Lucy didn't react in her usual way, as if she knew exactly what it was about. Please, I didn't know. I thought you were consenting, I swear. Yes. She admitted her guilt. She understood that Evelyn had targeted her for a reason. Evelyn's criterion for guilt would simply be harming other girls, regardless of the gender of the perpetrator. I logged back into the chat room at full speed. I need to know more about Lucy's story. Does anybody know what Lucy was talking about? Who are the non-consenting people? We're all gonna die! She's a sinner too, repent! This guy seems to have lost his mind, but I feel like his sinner theory is somehow kind of right. I just need to confirm it with Lucy's story. It's just rumors, but I heard she was collecting sex tapes from some students and reselling them to porn websites. I guess in a lot of the cases, the girls didn't even know they were being filmed. Ooh. I never checked online, though. It's not a rumor, it's true. She even admitted it herself. Not sure if this was related, but I've seen videos of Lucas on porn websites. Same. +1. And not just Lucas, by the way. There are a few other guys from this university who had videos of them having sex with a lot of different girls. Would that mean that Lucy had to deal with these guys? That would explain Ellen's questions about responsibility. But how could she know something like that? She's a witch. She knows everything. We're all gonna die. My theory seems to be true. There are two types of victims, the punished and the disobedient. The punished are targeted directly through Evelyn's questions, which allows her to remind them of their misdeeds before killing them. They are guilty of having carried out terrible acts, supposedly on girls. In other words, those who didn't do any evil things have nothing to fear in principle. As for the disobedient, it can be anyone. The moment you disobey Evelyn's rules, you have a target on your head. Supposedly, it would be enough to pretend to be a good student and to obey her orders when she gives them. Supposedly. I shake my head. There are too many holes in my reasoning, too many gray areas. It seems very straightforward, but it's the only lead I have. It's the best lead. If this could save lives, I need to tell everyone. Look, I don't think she's randomly targeting her victims. Shut up. Matt didn't deserve today, not like this. Matt, Lucas, and now Lucy, every time she asks a question, she knows something morally wrong her victims did. Exactly, she only targets sinners. You condemn us all. What's your deal, Breezy? You're saying that you agree with the other sicko here? It's a bit more complicated. Basically, Evan kills people who she thinks have done something terrible. She asks them a question with no good answer and she kills them. And Alicia, she killed her while she collapsed on the floor vomiting. That's because in addition to her sadistic justice, Evelyn also kills people who don't obey the rules, like those who stood by the door despite her threat. You're on her side or what? It's their fault they were killed by that crazy beach. They were paralyzed with fear. He's on her side for sure. What's with the BS rules? If no one knows them, it just means she's killing blindly. It's a BS excuse to kill us all like pigs. It doesn't make sense. She just kills for fun. She's a witch. She wants to sacrifice us to invoke an ancient demon on Earth. I underestimate the difficulty of sharing ideas online. Nobody's really listening to me. A very light tap on my back almost makes me scream in surprise. I turn around and see Jessica, Dan, and Wes on the seats right behind me. Hey, it's not that dumb, your theory. Jessica's careful to keep her voice low. Despite the relative distance between us and the board, and thus Evelyn, there's no telling how much she can hear. What are you doing here? You're insane. Why would you move from your seats? It's okay. She's focusing on writing. Look. I quickly turn back to Evelyn's seat with relief that she's still facing the board, writing sociological concepts that sound completely unfamiliar to me. Seems like she can't hear us. We should be fine. Emma joins the discussion. Breezy, I think your theory makes sense, but... Yeah, it's not stupid, but we still don't know how to get out of here. More whispers get our attention. Breezy, are you sure about your theory? How do you explain that witch spared Rose? She was with the others near the door, though. I catch a glimpse of the twins who have moved closer and now almost glued to Emma. Rose, the one who passed out on the floor? The twins nod their head perfectly in sync. That's what I was gonna say. There are some details I still don't understand at all. I glance back at Evelyn in fear again. She quietly continues to write a rather dense lecture on the board, clearly unbothered by our whispers. I try to remember the scene. Rose. That consistent with what Breezy says. Rose passed out, so she couldn't obey the rules. What the hell are you talking about? The witch. She asked everyone to go sit down. That was the rule. Go back to your seat. Does that mean we're in danger since she switched places? I don't think so. Since the merger started, I've changed seats 3 times, and I still haven't been targeted. As long as we stay seated, I think she's satisfied. Why didn't you change your seat 3 times? Jessica looks at Dan like she's talking to a child. To get me closer to you so we can come up with a plan, you idiot. But to get back to the Rose, that doesn't add up. She killed Alicia, who was throwing up. She couldn't get back to her seat either. The scene suddenly comes back to mind. Poor thing, she's fainted. What kind of teacher would I be if I punished a student with anemia? As for her, I'm sorry, but eating is not allowed in class. That's how you make the room dirty. The rule is to behave in class. Remember, she said she couldn't punish someone with anemia, so she couldn't kill Rose. She spares someone who has anemia, but she punishes someone who can't control their gut when facing corpses? That's complete bullshit. She made it clear that no eating was allowed in class, even though she was that Alicia was throwing up because of the situation, and not because of her breakfast. Her reasoning is particularly sick, for sure. But since then, there have been plenty of other students who threw up and still alive. Jessica fixes in Emma with an icy stare. They were in their seats, which was the main rule. Go back to your seats. That's completely twisted. If she was throwing up, she couldn't go back to her seat. Yeah, it just shows how sadistic she is. If you know you can't hold your guts in, then you shouldn't have headed to the door. But Rose fainted. According to her twisted reasoning, she too should have stayed in her place if she knew she couldn't stand. I massage my aching temples. I don't know. Maybe she sees anemia as potentially related to poor health, so something we don't choose. You don't choose vomit. Maybe it's not so much a matter of affliction as a consequence. When you vomit, you're still conscious, even if moving is very delicate. She doesn't want to kill people who don't see death coming at them. She's the worst kind of sadist. She insists on following the rules normally imposed by a teacher. A teacher? You thought she was a teacher? She's not here to teach us anything. She's here to kill. We all know that. Breezy's theory is that she's playing teacher to catch us off guard on a very simple rules of behavior that everyone knows, but applied to a morbid, supernatural situation. That way, she's sure everyone will make mistakes. That's disgustingly sadistic. That's disgustingly sadistic, but it seems to fit her personality well. Exactly. Look, I don't know where her supernatural powers come from, nor do I know why we're stuck in such a nightmare. However, I get the impression that she's trying to punish certain students guilty of behavior deemed harmful. Dan raises his voice slightly despite the risk. What do you mean exactly? She's playing the vigilante? That's your theory? So all the guys who are not perfect have to die? Guys or girls, it seems. I don't care. You're saying I deserve to die? Emma turns back to Evelyn, looking very concerned. Dan, I'm begging you, keep your voice down. Dan, we don't need to make the rules. I just feel like I have to bet my life on your bullshit theory that that's what you're saying? And you're safe because you're the nice little boyfriend of a nice little girl? Jessica slaps the back of his head. We told you to shut up and stop freaking out. We're all in this together. Dan stares mercilessly at Jessica, but eventually regains his composure. We're just trying to figure out this witch's motives to maybe save some lives. Nothing more. Dan looks unconvinced. Yeah, to save your lives. Wait, why are you convinced that Evelyn is going to come after you? Don't tell me you did terrible things to a girl. Dan turns sharply to me. Of course not. I'm not a freak. Jessica raised her eyebrows. Of course not. I have principles. Good for you. But then, why do you feel so threatened? If she's indeed seeking revenge on anyone who's hurt a girl in the past, then... Dan paused, staring into space. I've never done anything atrocious like Lucas, but I'm not exactly a monogamous type, you know me? So I've been like with a lot of girls in a relationship, single. It didn't matter. I probably caused a lot of breakups and sometimes for couples who were pretty serious. Not that serious, considering these girls were still willing to sleep with a guy like you. I'm not saying I'm super proud of it, but it's not like it's against the law, and I may not be the only one at fault. It takes two to cheat, right? I'm almost surprised that you know that. That still makes me a guy with reprehensible behavior. Call it morals, values, or anything, but if it fits into her rules, I'm doomed. She's gonna bleed me dry for acting like this. On the other hand, if you really did act like trash, Emma glares at Chloe. Don't say things like that. No one deserves to die for that. Jessica gives Chloe the coldest look I've ever seen. You're a pro-death penalty, right? Watching bad guys die in front of you makes you happy. Does it make you feel better about your own little life? Chloe looks down at the floor, but Zoe immediately flies to her rescue. The twins have always been extremely close and supportive of each other. That's not what she meant. No one wants Dan to die, but if Breezy's theory is right, that's pretty reassuring, right? It means there's a real hope for some of the students. The good students, right? Trash like me can croak as quickly as possible to help you out. No, that's not what you meant, right? How about you shut up? Instead, what do you think? Dan, calm down. Right now, the witch is only targeting people who have actually done horrible things. There's no telling whether she'll actually start targeting minor sins like cheating on someone. If so, pretty much everyone will be on death row, not just you. Dan's shell begins to crack and I begin to detect signs of fear on his face, fear of being next in line. I place my hand on his arm. I have nothing to offer him but my empathy and my fear. Jessica's right. If she starts killing over the little mistakes, then we're all doomed. No one's perfect. Visibly on the verge of tears, Dan looks at me, shaking his head. Alright, back to the main topic. How can we use this theory to get out of here? Yeah, we have to find some kind of loophole in the rules. There's gotta be one. I keep to myself my fear that any possible loophole, if there is one, could have been left knowingly by Evelyn to trap us, to kill us and trace any hope of even more cruelty. Wes speaks up. I forgot he was here too. What if someone pure tried to open the door? Jessica glares at him. Haven't you been listening? Anyone who doesn't follow the rules get killed too, pure or not. Wes shakes his head, an unusually serious look on his face. No, that's a corollary of Breezy's theory. His theory is just that Evelyn targets impure students when she asks questions, which has been true so far. So what? The other hadn't done anything. That we don't know. You said it yourself. Nobody is imperfect. Maybe all those who have died so far had something to blame, including the guy who tried to open the door. And maybe that's why he burned alive, because he was a sinner too. I painfully suppress a new shudder. Burned alive is probably the worst kind of death. Your theory is based on untested assumptions. Like Breezy's, if you're right, then since no one is perfect, we're all doomed, all of us. So we have nothing to lose by trying anything, including my theory. Dan stares at Wes with pleading look of one is willing to do anything to survive. Wes, what do you suggest? It's very simple. I think there are pure and impure students by Evelyn's standards. The pure are not supposed to die, while the others are definitely doomed. As a result, we all have to do is send someone pure to open the door. The witch won't want to kill him, and we'll have a real escape route. Then, while she's busy killing the next impure one on the list, we can try to escape altogether. Since there will be pure people in the crowd, she won't be able to kill indiscriminately, which will leave the possibility for some of the impure ones to get out alive. Yeah, that's not so dumb. Like you said, we don't have anything to lose. With your stupid theory, we're all gonna die for sure. This theory is even more fictitious than mine, a pure delirium with childish naivety, as if the key to our survival could rest on something so simple, so black and white. And yet, it's tempting to cling on to the slightest hint of hope, however illusory and ridiculous. His plan doesn't make any sense. Maybe there's some truth to it. I don't think we should send somebody pure, because the rules are literally just don't. Yeah. I sigh in frustration. It's truly the sinners are getting condemned and also follow the rules of a class. If Dan is convinced, that means it's a plan worthy of kindergarten. In other words, something shouldn't go. I take a quick look at Jessica's inquisitive face. She seems to stare at my apprehension. Calm down, Dan. There's just one issue with this brilliant plan of yours. Jessica sets her big eyes on Wes, who immediately blinks. The pure person who's going to open the door to test your theory? Are you talking about yourself? No, I hang out with Dan. I'm probably listed as impure too. You want to designate someone else to be in line for the slaughterhouse? Wes stares at Zoe with a look of intimidation. We'll only get one chance to try this plan. We absolutely must choose the most blameless, pure person, someone who will have the best chance of not being targeted by the witch. A serious, kind, well-liked person who's above suspicion. Not Emma. My mind's about to explode. You little shit. You want Emma to sacrifice herself to save your miserable life? Keep it down, you idiot. Emma keeps her eyes glued to Wes, looking stunned. Wes, you're crazy. We can't. I'd rather see us all die in excruciating pain than sacrifice Emma on the basis of a completely fucked up assumption. Wes, you coward. Why don't you do it yourself? I told you, we need to pick someone as pure as possible. We'll only get one chance. Emma, I know what I'm asking of you, but you're checking off all the boxes. Fuck you. Emma interrupts me by putting her hand over my mouth. Breezy, stop. You'll get us killed, please. I have to summon all the strength I can to keep my composure. There's no way. Emma is sacrificing herself. You'd rather have us all die than give a small chance of survival to others? I'm about to snap his twiggy little neck when Emma puts her hand on my arm, looking pleading. I close my mouth with a loud sigh. Don't touch Emma. Not one finger. There's a long silence. The only sounds I hear are Evelyn's distant voice still reciting the lecture and the mechanical noise of computer keyboards all around us. Eventually, the eyes converge on Jessica, who stares at Emma with a dark look as usual. If she dares. I think it's a shitty plan. It's way too risky, and it has no basis in fact. Emma sighs, a slightly relieved look on her face. Even though I would never have let them do it, it's easier that Wes stays completely isolated. This filthy coward. According to Breezy's theory, we have some time left before we are killed, provided we obey the rules. Time we can use to find a loophole. I agree. Yeah, you're right. Emma sighs again. Anyone else have a lead? A handful of students in front of us turn around, making sure Evelyn is still writing on the board. Hey, Breezy, you know how to escape from here? Please, I'll give you anything you want. I just want to get out alive. Jessica gives him her most haughty look. You idiots, have you been listening? We're still looking. You said you had a theory, Breezy. Yes, but a theory to survive a little longer, that's all. Until we figure out how to get out of here. Jessica nods her head in agreement. I'm rich. My father can give you anything. Just get me out. Did you not pay any attention? We don't know how yet. Emma, you're a super nice girl. Please, I'll do anything you want. The twins both sigh. Those guys are crazy. Talk about losers. They explain some of the messages on the chat. There has to be a way to escape. If there are rules, there are loopholes. The real question is, if Evelyn thought of rules to torture us, why would she leave us the option to exploiting any loopholes? Could we use one of the weird weapons she invoked? I'm sure it... If you have time to chat, it means you've already know everything about this class. Our entire little group instantly freezes. You, there. Were you saying something? Is it because you're bored? No, not at all. The allegedly very rich student's shaking voice betrays the sobs that agitate him. I was... It's probably more interesting than this class. Could you share with the whole class what you were saying? A cold sweat floods my chest. It could have been me. I'm 3 feet away from him. But this is the one who's doomed. He was the last one to speak. The last one to break the rules. With a howl, the student in front of me gets up and runs full speed towards the large glass window at the back of the room. I watch the scene in awe. Evelyn is standing motionless next to the board, a toothy grin on her lips. What does she plan to... The student throws all of his weight against one of the large windows in hopes of shattering it. I can't help but wish with all my heart that he will succeed. If he does, will Evelyn have time to kill us all? Will we be able to sneak away or call for help? A new flash of light dazzles me for a moment, then disappears just as suddenly. My eyes slowly reopen, but the long pain groan I hear leaves with no doubt to the outcome. Oh, a new vision of horror evades me. The student who tried to flee lies a few meters off the ground, pierced by a wall of purple thorny vines that dance along the large windows. Very quickly, his rattling dies, and his lifeless body comes to a complete stop, just like the brambles that now seem to be frozen. On the other side of the windows, though, the few gaps left by the thorny vines, I can see a bright blue sky, as if to cruelly remind us of our captivity, the fatal outcome of which is no longer a doubt. The room is perfectly silent, or that the slightest noise could be sanctioned by Evelyn. There's no alternative to this deadly little game. We must play by the rules. Alright guys, that's the end of this episode for the Midnight Witch. This game is very interesting and long. I have not played a dating sim or this type of game in the past where I have to read it. So it's a lot on my vocal cords. I don't know how many episodes I can do at a time. But so far, I'm liking some of these characters. I like the concept of this. You know, she's just kind of getting revenge for what's not right and who are sinners. So I'm excited to see what happens. I think I do have the chance to save everybody. And hopefully keep all my friends alive, but ultimately I just need to escape. So if you guys enjoyed the Midnight Witch so far, let me know in the comments. If you guys want to see more games like this in the future, let me know as well. But until then, I will see you in the next episode. Bye bye. Who is putting these big words in this game? Why are we pretending to take notes when we can just take notes and survive? Maccabee, absurdity, animosity.